this.
Well, they started.
This one here could be more. The pretty lady shows different shorts.
Right.
Surely they will.
Okay.
But we do have that schedule.
Oh yeah, 6:45. Okay.
And that way public comment can be.
This looks like a short.
7 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock. It's time to start. Everybody ready? Okay. I don't want to interrupt the conversation. Anyway, I'll call the meeting to order, whatever makes noise. What's first? Roll call. To see who's here, and then we do the pledge. So, if you call the roll.
Mr. Muller?
Here.
Mr. Bowman?
Here.
Ms. Kelly?
Here.
Mr. Beazold?
Here.
Mr. Peterman?
Here.
Mr. Thompson?
Everyone's here. How about pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Awesome. Thank you. I will entertain a motion for the minutes from the meeting that I didn't attend. I was in London at the time. Thanks, Roger, again for taking over and leading this fine group.
Thanks for representing the city in London.
Yes, I did. Not for Fort Thomas.
Move approval of the minutes.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Muller?
Aye.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Beazold?
Aye.
Mr. Peterman?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is the time for visitors and communications. Anybody have anything? Anybody like to address council? Anybody? No? Okay, all right. Moving right along. Reports of officers. City Administrator's report, Rondell.
Okay, I only have a couple things to report quickly. We had some, with one of our visitors last meeting, some questions about a particular zoning violation, and I think as we left that meeting, we indicated that staff would continue to do some research and provide this council with kind of a summary of how we do zoning enforcement, what tools are out there, maybe some of the changes that are taking place under the last General Assembly. So we do have that in the process, and I would anticipate that perhaps at our July meeting, we'll give you a kind of a written report, and then if we want to generate discussion or refer it to committee, we can do it then. In part, I know Jan's attending, and we have Kevin scheduled to attend to catch up on some of the recent changes in that arena through the General Assembly. So we want to incorporate that in as well to make it completely current. So we can look for that in early July, and we'll send it out in advance of your council meeting for July. The only other thing I had, the water main project, that luckily we tried to schedule with our utilities for our street program. This year, the only one is Gaddis Drive, and that's always critical for us timing wise. So we had pre-construction with them. They're scheduled, they have their contractor. We're working with their inspector and that contractor to get them through that process as quickly as we can and not hold up our street program. But it looks like they'll be in there on July 5th as their start date. So hopefully that's not a problem. Those are always a cross your fingers and hope, because we don't really have control over them because they're not our contractor. So, and then we did have, I'll refer to Chief Bailey. We did have an issue, I guess was that Friday, with the Rumpke.
Right, Friday,
And
1175
that's
South.
a couple of occasions where we've had emergency operation management, and you can help me out here
Yeah,
with
with
details on that one.
Thank you, Mr. Dill. The county has an ordinance in place. It's under Chapter 52 of the county ordinance, and it was adopted in November the 1st of 95, that says that emergency units in the county can bill for hazardous materials incidents. And we've done that through the years. Prior to me and through my tenure, I kind of take care of that. I confer and share that with Chief Daly. We encompass the billing is set up as far as monetarily through that ordinance, through County Office of Emergency Management, and we bill accordingly according to that ordinance each time we have a hazardous material incident. As I said, we include the police department, fire department, and also general services if they're involved with trucks or whatever we need to have done to mitigate the hazardous materials incident release. So we've done that through the years. Just did receive a check today from Bluegrass Geothermal for 13 months ago, the longest I've ever been associated with. But 13 months ago in May for an incident they had on the Moyer school lot as during a pre-construction scenario. And so we received a check from them today, and also I billed today for Rumpke to Rumpke for the incident on Friday. Got $2,000 back from Bluegrass Geothermal, and billed today for a little over $1,000 for our services, all the department services last Friday. So we got the spill mitigated, but just to make sure that City Council has an idea that ordinance is in place, and we certainly do. Look at that ordinance those times that we have a hazardous material incident. And so, thanks to all the department heads and Mr. Dill and Mr. Ewald and of course, obviously the mayor and council to allow us to do that. So, to abide by that ordinance.
Obviously, we've been working on budget, and you'll hear more about that. We're closing our fiscal year, and everything's in pretty good shape otherwise in the city. If anybody had any questions, that's all I have to report.
Okay, we'll move on to new business, mayor's fiscal year 2016, budget. I get to read. Y'all ready for this?
Let's hear it.
I have to read it into the record.
That sound like a
here we go.
song.
You
Never
have to read the whole thing? Because I already read it.
I know, I already read it
Can you
too.
speed read?
But it has to be read, right, into the record. Okay. Introduction. I'm pleased to submit proposed fiscal year 16-17 budget to the Board of Council for consideration. Proposed budget provides for a continuation of services equal to the level our shareholders expect and deserve. The administration has met with Finance Committee of Council to review this budget proposal, and they in turn have prepared a favorable committee report recommending adoption by the full Board of Council. In the following, the city's recent trend, only minimal capital outlays have been proposed. They include the replacement of 1 patrol vehicle in the police department, 2 pickup trucks in the general service department, and various improvements to general services and parks buildings. Other smaller equipment purchases are designed to enhance operating efficiencies and focus upon safety, productivity, and customer service needs. The fiscal year 16-17 capital improvement program includes the scheduled resurfacing of 5 city streets, along with related sidewalk repair. Barrett Drive, Daisy Lane, Gaddis Drive, Haywood Court, and Winding Way will be resurfaced this fiscal year. Also, additional pier walls will be constructed along Waterworks Road. The general fund budget adequately provides for personnel, supplies, and equipment necessary to deliver public services and programs authorized by Board of Council, and is projected to have a positive balance of total revenue of over expenditures of $40,399. In addition, the budget projects a year-end fund balance of $11,105,062 at June 30th, 2017, which is available for future appropriation, including the possibility of helping to offset employee retirement contributions. Revenue. Total general fund operating revenue forecasted for fiscal year 16-17 is $11,356,787, an increase of 2.4% from the prior year. Expenditures. Total recurring operating expenditures for fiscal year 16-17 are projected $11,416,388, an increase of 3.6% from prior fiscal period. The majority of all appropriated funds will continue to be expended on personnel and personnel-related items. Total general fund appropriations for these costs account for approximately 80% of all operating expenditures. It remains particularly challenging to fund significant increases in cost of employee benefit programs, including employee retirement contributions and health insurance. Other expenditure categories include capital outlay, professional services, utilities, vehicle and liability insurance, consumable supplies, maintenance, repair, and miscellaneous items that in total account for the remaining 20% of the operating budget. Capital Street Improvement Program, the Public Works KDOT fund, continues the city's commitment toward reinvestment in capital maintenance of our infrastructure. Approximately $500,000 in street and sidewalk improvements is planned for the upcoming year. CERS Reserve Fund. A reserve fund remains in place to address future employee retirement contribution requirements. It is recommended the council continues to maintain and supplement this fund as necessary in the future to ensure the sustainability of long-term service provision goals. Capital Projects Fund. The primary source of funding for capital projects is recurring payroll tax revenue, which is recognized as an interfund transfer from the general fund and other operating transfers. The Capital Projects Fund anticipates total operating expenditures of $1,301,984, including debt service and Renaissance events, and total revenue from all sources of $1,319,760. Substantial components of the Capital Projects Fund include debt service on the redevelopment of the Midway Commercial District, operating expenditures and improvements to the city's museum, support for Renaissance and design review boards, and funding for city events, including the Merchants and Music Festival and the 2017 Sesquicentennial Celebration. Summary. The proposed fiscal year 16-17 budget is sufficient to continue the city's delivery of high-quality public service in a manner consistent with present levels. As in recent years, this conservative operating budget has limited potential to address emergencies and other unanticipated events that may occur throughout the next fiscal year. However, adequate contingency funds, both reserved and unreserved, are available to address most unforeseen conditions and events. Overall, this budget should be effective in enabling the city to service the needs and expectations of our stakeholders and continue with the programs and policies as approved by council. That was fun. All right. Do we have any action on this? Or is this considered, this is just a message?
Right.
Okay.
And of course, we'll have an opportunity for the public to comment. We do have a public hearing scheduled before our next council meeting, so the public will have an opportunity.
That's
to
right,
comment on the
6:45 in 2 weeks, 15 minutes early for the public hearing. I tend to always forget that every year, which is why I'm kind of reminding everybody. So if we can be here 15 minutes early in 2 weeks, that will help because it will be the public hearing portion for the budget.
And then, of course, we'll have first reading tonight. So.
Okay, yeah, later on we'll do the first reading of that. Does anybody have any questions? All right, consideration of bids for 2016 street resurfacing program.
Okay, in the memo that was forwarded, I did outline our recommendation for consideration of the resurfacing bids. They were read aloud. We received 4 bids on May 18th. The low bidder is Len Riegler Blacktop, but we do have a change from what was recommended as of Friday. We had 2 alternate bids in the bid process, and the first one was for milling of the curbs on Barrett Drive and one side of Gaddis. The reason that we didn't have an initial recommendation for that is we've done that in the past and we've had success doing it. Last year, however, and other year, it really didn't work out that way. Last year, for example, when we were on Arlington, the equipment didn't cut through that pavement correctly, and we ended up having to saw cut and take out that curb, and so we excluded it from the bid. It was Len Riegler who did that work last year. And it depends on the age of the concrete, it depends on the thickness of the curb. But long story short, in this year's program, we actually met with them today, and they have a brand new machine. And obviously it has better capability. We've walked the streets with them, and they feel confident that they can do that curb. And it certainly saves us in the long run cost-wise to do that, because we don't have all the saw cutting and removal, replacement of the gutter plate. It actually makes for a better job because you don't have that gutter plate joint and the potential for reflective cracking. It's a preferred method. So we're pretty comfortable after meeting with them that this is an option that we would like to have. So the request is to add that alternate back in. And so I would refer you, I'll just talk about alternate number 2 first. Alternate number 2 we declined, and that was for the service road repaving at Highland Park. And the reason that we took that out is we've had some discussions with the school district about some improvements at Highland Park, at the ball field. And for timing purposes, we'd like to explore that a little further rather than put the road in and then have to move trucks over it to do any type of project over there. And secondarily, Mayfield is high on our list, and doing that in the same year of resurfacing Mayfield is obviously, cost savings wise could be a potential. Going back to the alternate number one that we do want to include, you can look at the cost on the first page of the worksheet that was from CT Consultants. If you look at the middle of the page under alternate bid number one, it kind of outlines the pavement milling and what that work involves. The reason it's only on one side on Gaddis is because the water main is located on the east side, and that process of replacing the water main will already remove that curb. So they'll come in, and this is the reason that it's detailed as an alternate is because it's a second setup and process that takes place earlier than the rest of the program. So when they do milling on the rest of the program, they do it at one time. But this is done in advance, so it's a second mobilization. They come out earlier in the year to allow us to do the curb work. So as you can see on the worksheet, their alternate bid was $9,150. If we do the math, their base bid is $173,125.10. Adding this alternate makes the contract award recommended by staff at $182,275.10. That alternate bid being $9,150, which was also, in comparative sake, the lowest alternate bid. So obviously Glenn Riegler is maintained as the low bidder overall. And if you look at the engineer's estimate, that cost is actually about half what the engineer estimated. So the alternate bid and base bid engineer's estimate is $242,372.50. And the overall bid is $182,275. So there's a significant difference. So we got very competitive bids.
Great.
So staff is recommending that we accept the Glenn Riegler bid with alternate number one for $182,275.10.
I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
Move to approve that recommendation.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Beazle?
Aye.
Mr. Peterman?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, Finance Committee report on disbursements. That's you. Yes,
That's me.
that's you.
Okay. Report of disbursements, May 16th through June 6th, 2016. General fund, $130,485.40. Tower Park fund, $4,250. Public Works KDOT fund, $270. Recurring debt service fund, $1,140.88. CBD revitalization, $4,104.30. Police and Fire Pension Fund, $1,871.23 for a total of $142,121.81. We, the undersigned members of the Finance Committee, recommend that the warrants numbered 302087 through 302140 be approved and the treasurer be authorized to issue the checks for their payment. Signed by Mr. Mueller, Mr. Peterman, Ms. Kelly.
Awesome, thank you. Entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Mueller.
Aye.
Mr. Bowman.
Aye.
Ms. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Beazle.
Aye.
Mr. Peterman.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Okay, we're down to ordinances, resolution, and orders. Ordinance 007-2016, ordinance amending the fiscal year 2015-2016 budget. You're back on.
Ordinance number 007-2016. An ordinance amending ordinance 009-2015, general fund budget for the city of Fort Thomas, Cable County, Kentucky, for the fiscal year July 1, 2015 through June 30, 2016, by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government. This ordinance amends the general fund budget of the city for the fiscal year July 1, 2015 through June 30, 2016.
All right. That's first reading, so no action necessary. Ordinance 008-2016. Ordinance adopting fiscal year 2016-2017 budget.
Ordinance number 008-2016. An ordinance adopting a general fund budget, municipal road aid fund budget, debt service fund budget, trailer park enterprise fund budget, capital projects CBD fund, and waste disposal fund budget for the city of Fort Thomas, Campbell County, Kentucky, for the fiscal year July 1, 2016 through June 30, 2017, by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government. This ordinance adopts an annual budget for the city for the fiscal year July 1, 2016 through June 30, 2017.
Okay, it's also a first reading. Ordinance 009-2016, ordinance establishing pay rates for city employees.
Ordinance number 009-2016, an ordinance establishing compensation of the employees of the city of Fort Thomas, Campbell County, Kentucky, for the 2016-2017 fiscal year and providing for the manner of paying such compensation. This ordinance sets forth the rates of pay for the 2016-2017 fiscal year for police officers, excluding the police chief, firefighters who are members of the IAFF Local 1928, excluding the fire chief, the employees of the General Services Department who are members of AFSCME Local 286, and non-elected officer and non-union employees. Other provisions included pertain to the definition of the work week, health insurance, compensation based on years of service, educational incentive plans, and overtime compensation.
Okay, that was also first reading. Now we're to municipal order MO05-2016.
A municipal order reappointing Meg Casper as a member of the Fort Thomas Tree Commission for the city of Fort Thomas, Campbell County, Kentucky, and setting her term of office.
I entertain a motion for that one.
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Beazle?
Aye.
Mr. Peterman?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Okay, municipal order MO06-2016.
A municipal order appointing Steve Kowalnik as a member of the Board of Adjustment of the City of Fort Thomas, Campbell County, Kentucky, and setting his term of office.
Someone like to make a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Mueller?
Aye.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Beazle?
Aye.
Mr. Peterman?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Okay, and we have one resolution, R02-2016.
Resolution R02-2016, a resolution of the City of Fort Thomas, Kentucky, authorizing and directing the City of Fort Thomas, Kentucky to participate in the Kentucky Public Employees 401k Deferred Compensation Plan.
Okay, a motion for that.
Move approval.
Second.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Mueller?
Do you want discussion?
Who
Give a
seconded?
little discussion.
Oh,
Can you tell us
I'm
what you
sorry,
do?
absolutely.
That's all right. We're on the freight train.
Yeah. Don't
Tell us
ever
a little more
hesitate to
about
wake
this,
me
please,
up over
before the
here.
vote.
I'm sorry?
Can you update a little more on this?
Oh,
This,
I think Joe could feel that one
Okay.
best.
Basically, the city offers administrative employees a 3% deferred comp match, and this has been going on for quite some time. And the real reason behind this change is that IRS rules actually changed around, well, let's say it was effective January 1, 2015, that the way that this was previously handled by the Deferred Compensation Authority was no longer allowed per the IRS. What they used to do was, ostensibly it was two different pools of money, but it really was all in one fund. So there was an internal calculation that separated the two amounts, which the IRS decided was no longer really that great of an idea. So we were notified, and this has really been quite some time, we were notified towards the end of 2014 that that method of accepting the deferred comp match was going to be discontinued, and we've been going back and forth for obviously nearly a year and a half to figure out what a suitable method to replace that deferred comp match was, and came upon this with Nationwide, who handles the investments for the Kentucky Deferred Compensation Authority. It's a 401A. It's exactly the same as a 401k. The funds available are pretty much exactly the same. You can even access it through the Kentucky Deferred Compensation website, but for IRS purposes, it is a separate pool of money, completely separate in every way, shape, or form to satisfy both the Internal Revenue Service and the Kentucky Deferred Compensation Authority's auditors. So, long story short, what they did before they weren't allowed to do, and this is the fix.
So it's just a structural change.
It really is a structural change in how the matching funds are handled. And further, we have a very very in-depth spreadsheet of how much we owe all of the employees for a 3% match, dating back to January 1 of 2015, and we've already had a conversation with deferred comp. The lump sum amount is perfectly acceptable. So once this is all set up and passed, and everything is set in place, we will be transferring a lump sum down there for all employees who are still employed with the city of Fort Thomas.
Joe, was that expense being accrued on our financial statements? Were we showing that as?
It was not deemed to be material, and realistically, it's not. Over an 11 million and change budget, I'm trying to think what the number is off the top of my head. Less than $25,000. So it wasn't deemed a material. If we were being picky, we could have, but Jim Sparrow said that wasn't really necessary.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Moeller?
Aye.
Mr. Baumann?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Weigel?
Aye.
Mr. Peterman?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Anybody else have anything else?
I do have one more question. Is that included in this budget amendment thing?
It actually is.
It is.
No, not in the amendment. It's really all going to take place after July 1.
After July 1.
So yeah, all the transfers and everything.
Gotcha.
Is everybody gonna be here for the 4th of July parade this year?
I am not. Out of town.
You be here?
Second, July parade.
You guys can hear? Awesome, okay,
So we'll arrange
Are we
similarly
Okay.
for the council to be involved in the parade.
okay. I know we can deal with it next time, but I
Right.
was thinking ahead to see if I can get my Trans Am out and make it run again. Try it out.
Is this the first time since the last parade?
Yeah,
Does it really?
yeah. And before that, it was like 5 years, so I'm not sure I can get it running. I might try, because that was kind of fun.
And next year, you'll have your bike ready, right?
I'll get my bike. Yeah, that's right. The bicycle decorating
Here,
contest for
sorry.
next year. So I'm gonna do the show
So
boat
we need
thing.
one more though.
My car's available.
Oh, yeah.
For that.
Oh, yeah. Ooh,
Mr. Mayor, you have to.
Here, go pass it down.
how many can you hold in there? Just two? Just two.
Two and maybe
Okay,
one
so
little
1,
kid.
2, 3. Guess that's in the garage. Yeah, we'll think about that, and at the next meeting, we'll figure out how we can do that.
You survived, you got short one at least.
Okay, meeting adjourned, I guess.
Number 28, man. Love it.